This is season 2 of Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole. Good morning, and welcome to Rise and Thrive with Dr. J. Nicole, where we are rising in faith and thriving in purpose. Today's guest is an artist whose work goes far beyond music. He's known for soulful melodies, vivid storytelling, and deeply reflective lyrics. Thomas Burgundy creates music that speaks to the soul. Emerging from Linwood, California, his work explores identity, resilience, the realities of inner city living, and the personal journey of self-discovery. Beyond the studio, Thomas has spent more than a decade mentoring and advocating for at-risk youth in South Central Los Angeles. He's also the founder of a streetwear brand, Burgundyism, which is rooted in a philosophy that guides both his work and his life. Planted deep within every struggle is a seed of prosperity. So today we're exploring what that means to find that seed and how the work of becoming often begins in the darkest places. Thomas, welcome to Rise and Thrive.
I say thank you for having me. It is an honor and a privilege to be here, for real. Thank you.
Yes. And as we were talking before we started recording, just for the audience to know, I first encountered Thomas in the algorithm. He was featured on someone else's podcast, and he just had so much depth. And I was curious. I was like, who is this person? And then I listened to the music and I could hear the story in there. And I was like, I've got to have him on. There is testimony among testimony within this man's story and his lived experiences. Yes. So when I first encountered your music, like I said, what stuck out to me is that it didn't feel like I was just listening to like songs. Like it really did feel like I was hearing someone process life in real time about identity, struggle, purpose, and faith. So I want to start at the beginning. So for listeners who may be hearing about you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about where your story begins?
No, absolutely. First of all, thank you for that, being able to pick up what I'm putting down. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't until doing this for a long time where I'm reaching that point. So if we go to the beginning, I feel like the opening scene to Thomas Burgundy's story starts in 2009. I'm 12 years old, sitting at the kitchen table with my brother. And at the time, we're homeschooled. Mom is at work. She don't want us to go to any school around where we're at, so we're homeschooled. But because she's at the work, we just we just is at the crib, just being like, okay, well, what are we doing with our time? And it's really just listening to the radio and watching movies and DVDs. That was our way of getting by. So it was just music, media, things like that. And so we're listening to the radio. I'm 12 years old. Lil Wayne is our guiding light at the time. He is who we want to be. We're just looking up to him. Same time, Drake is on fire at that time. And then you have Justin Bieber, this little white 15-year-old kid popping out, super famous. And we're sitting there and we're just like, bro, we could do this too. Like let's just try this out. And so that was the moment where we decided, okay, let's start rapping. And so that's when I started writing raps. And again, it's funny what the catalyst was, which is super random. And who I became through the journey is nowhere near those what got me here. But that's the moment where it was so random of just, if they could do it, we could do it too. And then, the rest is history.
Okay. So talk a little bit more about the kind of environment you grew up in and the early experiences that shaped the way that you see the world today.
Yeah, so again, kind of I grew up in so many different houses. When my parents split, we just moved around all over LA, i.e. the Inland Empire to LA, Southgate, Long Beach, Norwalk, and finally ended up in Linwood. That's where I call home. But that's when it comes to like the struggle and just like being poor and stuff like that, that's a lot of people's experiences. But my particular experience was that being in that constant state of survival mode mentally of just where are we going to sleep tonight? Where where are we going? Where am I right now? Why are we in the car? Why are we at my auntie's house? Why are we at my grandma's house? And not having the answers to it. So you have that level of, oh yeah, we're poor. We don't have what we want. But then you also have the now we're uprooted. Now we're here. Now we're there. And what that's doing to the nervous system of no stability and just confusion. You feel what I'm saying? And so that you go
Yeah.
outside and you have all this going on outside, but then you come inside and then you come into my mind. It's just like now is a whole different ball game.
Yeah. So were you able to ask any of those questions? Because I know a lot of times when we're kids, we might wonder about things, but don't ask, or sometimes we ask and the parents don't give us the real answer.
Yeah, that's a great question because a lot of my childhood, the answer was just well, it's very specific, right? Where why my parents split, and my mom was very open about it. Of okay, we left him because of this, and this is happening, and so she was transparent and open about it. But it's not like we had a choice or a say, like, but can we do this instead? It's just this is what it is, and
Right.
we're living with your grandma now, and it's not like she's like whether you like it or not. It's just this is our literal only option. We have no choice. We're now staying with one of her friends from church. We're sleeping on the couch because they said yes, you can come for the night. And so you get in this habit, of this state of being of just well, whatever it is, you and then you just accept what comes to you, and then you say, okay, well, that's my life now. On this might not be what I want, but this is what it's going to be. This is what I deserve, and we'll get further into it. But it shapes your brain of feeling like you don't deserve good things. You don't even reach for more because you're stuck in that like
Mm.
accepting just the bare minimum or this idea of well, this is what God provided in this very hard time. I don't even think that I can go for more, like, just take that.
Wow. Listen, I'm ready to go all the way deep. Like
Uh-huh.
it because like you're just setting it up and make me
Mm.
want to know more. Like I'm always the person who wants to know the story behind like the why and ask more questions. So I'm like, I'm excited. You're setting this up. I hope they're getting the listeners, the audience are getting just as excited. Well, if they have that natural curiosity about people. Um, so when you think about the younger version of yourself, what are some of those struggles or questions that, you were carrying during that time aside from those questions around survival?
Yeah, the like I said, the main thing really was when I think, through therapy, you kind of go back and you say, "What is the emotion that you felt at the time?" And anytime I go back, the main emotion and it's not a what I say, it's not a emotion most people will say, but it's confusion. I literally was just confused. And
Mm,
because it didn't it nothing
mm.
nothing made sense to me, and especially when it comes to certain lack of feeling like I belonged anywhere, and we'll get further into that, but this thing of, "This is all I know. This doesn't seem normal. This doesn't seem regular, but this is all I know." So it's counterintuitive to, "This is what I want in my life, but I can't go further than this because this is what is given to me. So this must be normal." Right? And but then
Mhm.
intuitively, it's not normal. So then you're just left with confusion of just, okay, why are we sleeping in the car right now? Or why are we at church right now? And my mom says at the end of service, don't go with your dad because you're not supposed to see him. And you're just like, but that's my dad. Why can't I go with him? He's like, no. If he comes to try to pick you, like in when you're in the childcare or whatever, if he comes to try to sign you out, don't go
Mhm.
with him. And then you just place it like, what I'm gonna say, no. You know what I mean? Like it just it seems it's just like I'm confused now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's so much in there, right? And how do you navigate that? And the emotional load that that puts on a child.
Hmm.
And just really, you're supposed to be focusing on just like being a kid, going to school, just, carefree, but you're carrying a lot of adult sized things and then the emotions that come with that and needing your father in your life.
Mhm.
Having a father, but then being told you can't go with him. I can't imagine what that felt like.
No, absolutely.
So one of the themes that stood out to me in your work is how honestly you explore identity. You've spoken about navigating between both your Black and Latino um, ethnicity and the experience of not always feeling fully accepted in every space.
Mhm.
What was that experience like for you growing up?
Yeah, my experience was very I would say most people, let's just say the biracial experience. Anytime when I talk about it with people that are also mixed, we get it. And then someone
Mhm.
that is not, sometimes it's just like, I'd rather even not talk about it because it sounds like, oh yeah, y'all just complaining, you know what I mean? Like, all right. But my experience was very, very unique to me because you have my pops who's black from St. Louis, right? And you have my mom who is literally from Mexico. So when they split, we're just living with my mom's side of the family because I don't ever meet any of my pop's side. They're all in St. Louis. I've only met my grandma, his mother, and she passed away when I was young. And so
Mm.
I have no connection to that side of my family. Now I'm deeply engulfed in Mexican culture because I'm with my mom's side all the time and they live in Southgate. Anybody that knows about Southgate it's like little Mexico. And so you have all of this, but then you throw these mixed kids in there who, as you know, if you're 1% black, you're black. You know what I'm saying? And because of
That's how it
how
is in this country.
you know what I'm saying? So because of that, we don't feel as if we can fully participate because we don't speak Spanish and they just see us as black. And as a kid, what it did to me is different than how I see it today. Now I could look back and I can see that it wasn't personal. All the microaggressions that they put on us was just that just was what it was. They weren't trying to be malicious or vindictive, but now it's rewiring your brain to be like, "Oh, I'm not one of y'all." It's very clear to see as much as I would like to try because I have again, I have no choice. I'm just placed in this environment where it's all these things. I try to speak some Spanish and because I don't really know how to, y'all making fun of me. You know what I mean? So okay, well, let me not do that again.
Yep.
Let me not do that, right? And an example would be where I'm not sure if you're familiar with the game Loteria. It's kind of like a Mexican bingo.
Okay, I haven't played it, but I love
Yeah,
bingo.
so it's basically like you have your card and then you have your different characters. And so when the dealer pulls out the card, if you have that, you know, you put in, you try to get the whole card. And so for an example would be like La Luna was like the moon. If you have that, you put that. And there's this one particular character on the card, which is El Negrito, which is basically like
Mhm.
the nigga, you know what I mean? So the black man.
Uh,
And I don't even really know why that's there, but little things like that where it's okay, we're playing, and then it's like El Negrito, and then they're all just like, oh, look at y'all, you know what I mean? And again, not like being no, they're not trying to make it a thing, but it's just funny, right? It's just ha 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 ha. This microaggression, but then that what that does is like, oh yeah, we're El Negritos in this world, right? And then on top of that, yeah, my grandpa, who he calls us chango, which is monkey in Spanish, but he does it in a playful way, where he just be like, "Oh, Django," you know, like, let's
okay.
yeah, it
That gets tricky because some people do say like you little monkey because you're like climbing around, but because you have the black ethnicity, the race in there,
yeah,
that feel a little tricky.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and again, because it's confusing because I know he loves me, I know he loves my mom, like, I know it's all fun and games, but what is that doing subconsciously where you literally have your grandpa calling you monkey, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's why it was so strange because I know, like, he's not doing it out of malice or any type of ill will, if that's just what it is, right? But that's my experience growing up where it's like all around Mexican, but you're black, right? Then I have when we went to a private Christian school for a little minute because my mom, she was able to get a position working there. That was the only way we could afford it, right? So we're there, and you
Okay.
have these kids where I have the Mexican friends, I had the black friends, the white friends, the Asian friends. It's pretty diverse there, but all my Mexican friends, same, where it's you're black. It's just no matter what, if we're playing basketball, if I win, oh, it's not because 'cause you're good at basketball, it's because 'cause you're black. If we're racing and I win the race, oh, you're only fast because 'cause you're black. And then this and that, this because 'cause you're black, right? And so I'm just like, "Okay, okay, okay, that's happening." My black friends just accepted me, just like, "What up?" You know what I mean? Like, it would, for my personal experience, whatever it was, black people always accepted me, and it was just, well, I've tried, not even I've tried, but I'm just placed in this environment on the Mexican side, and y'all just keep saying I'm black. Then I'm black, you know what I mean? So then that's when I dove deep into all things black, because I'm just like, well, I can see myself a little bit in here when it comes to hip hop, when it comes to basketball players, movies. And then my friends are just like, yo, come over here, you know what I mean? And again, it wasn't that like cut and dry, but as an underlying theme, it was just, okay, well, if any group is going to accept you a little more, it's going to be this one. And that's been my experience. So that's where I just kind of found myself.
For years, I've been traveling the world, and honestly, I kind of been gatekeeping it. The beautiful resorts, the hidden gems, the cultural experiences, the moments that completely reset you and remind you there's so much more in life to experience. But I'm not doing that anymore. I've officially partnered with Trova Trip because I'm ready to start creating unforgettable experiences with you. Think luxury meets culture, beautiful destinations, incredible food, amazing energy, new memories, new friendships, the kind of trip that you talk about for years after you get back home. And the best part, we're doing it together. I want to know where you want to go. Bali, Morocco, Tanzania, South of France, somewhere else completely? Tell me. This is your official invitation to travel with Dr. J. Join the VIP list now for early access to destination reveals, trip drops, and priority booking opportunities before they are released publicly. If you're ready for experiences that feel intentional, elevated, and forgettable, my link is in the bio. Come see the world with me. Quick pause. I've been loving Canvas Beauty, a Black woman-owned brand all about confidence and self-care. Shop canvasbeautybrand.com/Genie3 and use code Genie3 to save. Now back to Rise and Thrive.
But then it gets deeper, where then I'm looking in the mirror and I'm just like, but I don't really look like exactly like y'all. So is there a moment where, because all things have been taken from me, I'm just like, is there a moment where y'all suddenly just not gonna with me no more? You know what I mean? I'm just,
Oh, that's so hurtful.
yeah, and so I'm just kind of always walking on eggshells, and so that informed my lack of belonging from the jump. If I don't belong here, I don't belong here. We're living here. Nothing is mine. Nothing could call home. And then so it wasn't until much later where we get down the line. But that's what it was growing up, where it was just, I don't belong here. I'm gonna come here, but I still don't know if y'all gonna abandon me at any second, because I wouldn't blame you if you did.
Wow, Thomas, that's a lot to carry as a child. Like, and I can only imagine, well, I can imagine for sure what that could look like and how you move through the world. And we'll get into more of that. And just the impression and what that does to, well, one, literally your identity, right?
You
Like,
know,
because the racial construct, that's a whole thing in itself.
yeah.
And at any point, did you ever feel like you had to choose one identity over the other?
It really was, like I said, the moment where I guess just on paper, I chose to be black. And, but more so when we talk about identity, of saying, okay, this is the outfit I'm going to wear, where, because I already know I don't look full black, well, then let me dress a little more black. Let me wear my hair a little bit more black. You know what I mean? Let me talk a little bit more black so that I just fit in it. Most people won't admit, you know what I'm saying, with this
Yeah.
biracial experience. And because I don't really, because I'm so free from that now, I can just say it is what it was. That's what it was. Today, I oscillate between both however I want to. But back then, it was, again, like, so that I don't get caught, so y'all don't notice that I'm not really fully y'all. I'm gonna go all the way. You know what I mean? I'm gonna sag my pants. I'm gonna do the thing. And the good thing, it wasn't like crazy overcompensation, but it really was just, there's two sides, and I'm gonna stick to this side. And because last time that I was on the Mexican side, y'all made me feel goofy, like for even trying to do anything Mexican. So I'm never doing that again. And when I look back, it is kind of saddening that for a good period of my time, I abandoned that side of the culture,
Mm.
when I could have, but even though I'm living in it every day, but I didn't feel as if I could truly be one with it. It was just kind of like a tourist in there.
Well, and they made it clear that they didn't want you to get comfortable, right? Like
And you're like,
you were there willing to soak it up. It's your language. And when you're that young, you don't need, well, one, you don't need anybody's permission to engage in culture. But when you're that young, you don't understand that to just
yeah.
do it and be like, oh, well, like this is my culture. I'm going to speak it how I speak it. No, I didn't.
Mhm.
To be able to stand on business because your identity is still forming. Like you're still understanding just how things work in the world. And then even the instability that you're experiencing, like with housing and your parents splitting, like that's so much. And it's Black folks have been this way, like at least in this country. When I think back, just like historically, we welcome you in.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
ours. We see you because we know how the world is, right? Like, oh, you're ours. Come on.
Mhm.
Like that's just what it is with people. And even if you're not, right? Like if you seem like you kind of cool, like someone in the community is bound to be like, come on, you and me
Yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
do that. And so I love us. I love us. That's what I'll say. I love us because I mean that's what we do. So then at what point did you begin to define who you were instead of allowing others to define it for you?
I think it didn't take until honestly a couple years ago
Okay.
where I spent a lot of time alone and realized at the end of the day, I'm the only one. It's just me. How do I see
Yes.
myself? Because you get to a point where why am I putting you on a pedestal and giving you the power to accept me? I care so much about your acceptance that I'm doing whatever I can. And at the end of the day, you don't even really care like that. Nobody thinks about you the way you think they think about you. You may have
Yeah.
this 30-second encounter where they're saying all this about you, and then you think that's the world. That's how they feel about you. That's truth. But after that, they're going living their life. They're thinking about what they're thinking about. And so when I was able to acknowledge that of bringing them down and saying everybody's at a base level and me, I don't care. Why do I care more about what they think about me versus what I think about myself? That was the moment where I was able to just say, this is what I love about my Mexican culture. This is what I love about my Black culture. I'm going to take that. I'm going to wear that. This is what I don't like about that side. I don't like this about that side. I don't feel the need to identify with that because that's not who, like, for example, you take me, the spirit that I am, you remove that, put me in a whole different country, right? Who am I at the end of the day? And
Yeah.
when we talk about identity, that is this amalgamation of your experiences, your environment, your thought process, your beliefs, where you come from. All it's a mixture of these things, and then you get to decide, well, what about that am I going to agree with? And so because I had to really spend a lot of time alone and say, I'm kind of tired. I'm actually exhausted of trying to fit in and bend over backwards just for you to be like, you're good.
Yeah.
It truly, truly, truly gets exhausting. And because there's also so many things outside of both cultures that I really love. Like, for example, Back to the Future is my favorite movie. That's as white as it gets. You know what I mean? Like,
A lot of people like Back to the Future. I'm surprised you like it given when it came out.
yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I don't get me started on that. Hold on. You see this the
The
the DeLorean right
DeLorean.
here. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I love Frank Sinatra. Like my mom, she raised us on classical music. There's so many things where because I decided I'm not going to fully subscribe to one thing because that's what I feel like
Mhm.
y'all want me to do to accept. I'm now going to explore everything that I like. And like I said, it wasn't until a couple years ago where I just decided this is what I like, and it's all of it.
Love that. And so what you're describing is what a lot of people have to go through, but yours is much more nuanced because you have these two different cultures because there are people who are just in one and they struggle and don't even
Man,
get as far as you have in your healing journey. So the fact that you gone through all of this and you've decided, I am me. And that's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
And the way that this country is set up is like, if you do this, this is black. If you do this, this is Mexican. If you do this is white. Like all
Uh-huh.
these different things that people try to tell you. Like, and I remember when I first moved out to the DC area and I was telling someone, I was like, oh yeah, I'm at a farmer's market. They were like, white people go to farmer's market. I said, well, I guess I'm white then. You can call me white today because I'm at this farmer's market having a good time. But what's crazy about that whole time is the reason why people of African descent ended up in this country is because they were farmers on the continent.
Man,
And
talk
now we're
about it.
saying farmers markets are white, right?
That's
Like that.
crazy.
I could, yep. So all
Yeah.
of these things that people can say, or like people would trip out and I'll be like, cause well, I have some white ancestry, just of course being in this country,
Mhm.
but I didn't grow up with any specific like white ancestor relative or whatever, where I was influenced directly.
Mhm.
But, like, it's certain stuff I can just get with. I love a good guitar moment. Like, let Nirvana Teen Spirit come on.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
yeah, so, I have moments, but I think really and truly what we're talking about, though, is the human experience. People try to put a label on it, and at the end of the day, these are things created by people, consumed by people, and it resonates.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's that. We just to take the labels off of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just a way to keep people divided. So there's also a moment in your lyrics where you reference appearance and acceptance. And sometimes those details reveal deeper questions of belonging. So, how early did you become aware that identity can sometimes feel like negotiation?
Ooh, I love the word negotiation in that. That's the
Yeah.
perfect word for that. And you know what's funny? Going back to the story when my mom and pops were together up until I was 6 years old, and we lived in Pomona, we had a backyard, we had everything. I didn't even have the concept of race or ethnicity. I just was who I was. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so funny, I see my black pops, my Mexican mom, I still didn't even think anything of it. It was just like, it just is what it is. And it wasn't until we moved with my cousins and my aunties and all them, and then they're saying, "Oh, you're black." And it's funny that as there's a story where my brother, he's asking my mom, like, "What are we?" And she's like, so he's like, "So we're blacks again?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're blacks again." But because we're now asked the question, "What are you?" And we didn't even ask ourselves what we were until someone else asked that, because the way that they
Yep.
raised us, that wasn't even important. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we would get there down the line, but what they were focused on when they were like, a union was much more important than that. Like, your identity is found in other things. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when the process of, like you said, negotiation started, where, okay, well, if I do this, then y'all will accept me more. And okay, so I'm gonna do that. Oh, if I wear this, if I talk like this, then y'all will accept me more. And then, like I said, you get to that point where you get so tired of it that now my negotiation process with my identity is, what do I want to see within myself? And a lot of it is attributes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, am I disciplined the way I want to be? That's more, that's identity as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I consistent? Am I showing up? And so my identity is now a negotiation process of, there's where I come from, there's my culture. That's the that I can't control. And so now I'm negotiating the rest of my identity of, how do I see myself and who do I want to be?
That's so good. That was so good. Because what you're describing is, what type of human being do I want to be? How
Yeah.
do I want to show up in this world? And a lot of people could spend a whole lot more time on that. And if they did, imagine how much more amazing this world would be.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking when you were saying, like, when you were doing good with, like, playing basketball and stuff, "Oh, it's just because 'cause you're black," when really they were just hating and, like, low-key envious that you have the natural ability. You know what I'm saying? Because that is some of it. Like, you look at the DNA and what happens. Like, that
Mhm.
just is. Like, "Yeah, it is because I'm black. Thank you. That's the best
Yeah.
compliment you can pay me."
Right?
Now, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But, like, when you're young and you just wanna fit in, you don't know that. So, I've come to learn, and I, even tell some of my clients this, like, those things that quote unquote make you weird or those are really your superpowers. And you just need to lean into that. And when you can
Yeah,
own that, like that's the best. And you really just really cultivate that gift, that ability, that skill, whatever it is. Like those are your superpowers. And we're not supposed to all be alike. But like when we're looking at it from a developmental standpoint, it is normal to want to fit in.
100%. Yeah.
And so, yep, yep. So I get it. And so this is why we need reflection. But some people, they stay stuck in the negotiation, the overcompensation, and
Mhm.
trying to prove themselves rather than saying, no, like, who am I? Who do I want to be? Bringing it back inward instead of looking outside for people to define who you are for you.
Yeah, 100%.
So, how did you eventually find that peace with who you are?
I think, like I said, it's really spending a lot of time alone where you realize that, okay, who I am when I'm by, and I did so much work to get here, and so much, like I said, just journaling and things like that to say you
Yes.
don't like who you've become when you're trying to overcompensate. What is the what is the alternative to that? And it's really being okay with not needing to overcompensate and saying, did you ever think about it that way? Where you're doing all this and you don't like how you feel like you're always performing. And to this day, I'm still, like I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm 100% there, but there's that realization you get to the point where how much am I okay with performing? Like I said, I got to that point where I said, I don't want to perform anymore. And it's not the end of the world. And because people don't think about you the way you think they do. I put so much, like I said, this power in their hands of they're just looking at you and they're thinking about you and they
Yeah.
think this about you and they're really not because if turn the tables. I'm not thinking about nobody like that. If I see somebody like, oh, that's who they are, whoop de whoop. Like, you know what I mean? But you live in this vacuum of every thought that someone has said, every attack, every microaggression, it becomes your world. And you think that's how the world sees you. That's how everybody sees you. Everybody's looking at you like
Mm.
that because somebody said this in fifth grade. And therefore everyone thinks that you have that. And it's like, that's not how it works. And so once I removed all that and just said, like I said, how do I see myself? And if, again, you can do all these things and someone still not accept you and still not care about you. So it's like, I'd rather just do what I want to do. And if they don't, they don't. But I'm so grateful for the people that do love me and accept me for who I am. And I just stick with them. You know what I mean?
Yep. And there's billions of people in this world. So if this one
Hmm.
doesn't, okay, bye.
Yeah, yeah.
And like when you learn that, like, and you learn to let people lose you. And we're not really taught that. That's something that I even, found out later in life myself. Like, let them lose you. Everybody does not need to like you. And I think what's harder is when you're a kid, you're subjected to who's in your environment and you have no control of the environment you live in. But as you get older, you decide who you do want to be friends with, who you don't. You have access to transportation to go to other areas if you're not, you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
so much more influence where when you're a kid, you gotta figure it out, like, these are my only options. And so
Absolutely.
I think once you start to realize that or just like, "No, I feel better just being by myself because 'cause y'all are so awful." I remember having some neighbors growing up, like, one day she would be, like, the best friend, and then the next day she'd be trying to fight me, and I'd be like,
Mm,
"Girl, what is this?" Like,
yeah.
and so I stopped kinda, like, hanging with her like that, you know what I mean? Because it was just
Mm,
like, I just thought, "Oh, great, I have a neighbor, great," because I always would be with my brother, so it's like, "Oh, good, a girl."
yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
she was inconsistent, and I learned very early I did not like the wishy-washy, messy girls, and I
Mm,
didn't know what to call it, but I knew I wasn't safe. I knew I didn't know what I was gonna get, or if someone more popular came around or someone that they wanted to like them come around, then I would catch strays, and
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't have the language, but just did it. So, like, there's a lot that, like, happens with that, and then again, of course, um your situation being also very, very unique. Um,
Mm,
Another thread in your work is resilience. And your music, it does not avoid the struggle. It actually reflects it. And it's almost like struggle has been, in part a teacher for you.
That's a
So
good one.
was there a moment in your life where everything shifted and you realized that you were going to have to rebuild parts of yourself or your life?
I think the moment for me, because as we're seeing, there's this been trajectory of all these things that have been uprooted, things have been taken from me. I'm losing it all, and then 2020, which has been the most transformative year for me, for everybody, but for me particularly, my apartment catches on fire, and the way it went down, and I'll tell you in chronological order, like, I'm gonna put you into how it happened for me, right? It's 2 in the morning.
Okay, and I'm very visual. So
Mhm.
I'm seeing a movie in my mind as you're telling this, which is kind of what happened when I was listening to the song where you referenced this. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. So, it's 2 in the morning, I'm asleep. Let's zoom out a little bit. At this point in my time, my sister and I, it's just us living in the apartment. My brother moved out, my mom moved out. So it's just my sister, myself, and our dog. So we're living in this apartment. It's 2 in the morning, wake up to a phone call, it's my brother. And I'm like, yo, why are you calling me? He's like, bro, get out the house, get out the apartment, it's on fire. And mind you, I'm just waking up, and so I'm still comprehending the fact that, "Why are you calling me? The apartment is on fire. What are you talking?" He's like, "Get the out. The apartment is on fire. Get Joy up, wake her up, get Naya, our dog, and get out." And I'm just like, "Okay." So I just get up, and again, the way that my brain is, the way that I've been, conditioned is just, "Here we go again. You have to leave. You have to be uprooted from where you're at, where you're comfortable,
mm,
and just go." So, go wake up my sister, and now I'm seeing smoke is everywhere, dog is barking, I'm coughing. I'm just like, "Oh, right?" And only thing I think is grab my laptop. I'm working on my album at the time, so I'm like, "This is all I got. This is the most important to me, the
you
more
need that.
important thing to me." So I just take my laptop, we run down the stairs, then the fire department gets there. So we're standing there and I'm seeing the flames, I'm seeing our apartment and the fire department, and I'm just like I said, "All right, here we go again. Time to start from nothing." And that was a
Yeah.
moment that it was so drastic but it was so routine for me of just, "Okay, what are
Mm,
you gonna do? Where are you gonna go live now? Like, what are you?" And my brain, it didn't even have time to digest the fact that this is happening, like this particular incident. My brain went to, "Hey, this thing that always happens to you is happening again." And so
wow.
I'm looking at that, and thankfully, with the fire department, they were able to, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I did, because I have my merch, my clothing line, I did lose some of the merch, and it only got like some part of the house, right? But when we talk about divine timing, because now let's go again to my brother, when we talk later, he literally, it's 2 in the morning, and he said something told him to just go check on us.
Come on, God.
You know what I'm saying? So God was like, "Go over there, go check on them." So that's when he decides to just drive, and he's kind of justified. He's like, "Well, I could probably go pick up some clothes." Or like he was just thinking, like, "I'll just go do some," because he still has some stuff over there. But that thing of just, I'm gonna go as soon as he gets there. That's when the fire starts. So for more context, my neighbor beneath us, it was the Day of the Dead, the Dia de los Muertos. So she had lit some candles,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess she fell asleep with them,
Oh,
and so she went to bed, and then that caught on fire. So, unfortunately, like, she passed away because that went all through her house, and we're on the upstairs. So then it was going through
yeah.
ours, and so he
That
got
gave
there.
Dia de los Muertos a new meaning. Like for real.
Absolutely. Yeah, facts. Absolutely.
Oh,
And so, again, just the fact that he was there and he caught us at the perfect time, what that did to me again, which was so, and you would understand this being a therapist, for months after that, instead of choosing to look at it as, you're here for a purpose, God saved you from that moment, I couldn't help but think, because I was so close to death, I was like, I should have just died. I wish I was dead. Like, I'm so tired.
oh, that's
You know
how
what
the
I mean?
enemy gets you.
Yeah, and I went into a pretty, I wouldn't say a deep depression, but this kind of subgenre of depression that I found myself in, where I was at such a good point in my life at that point. I was doing a lot of work, and then I met with the worst experience that I've ever had, and it forced me to say, like, you cannot run anymore from these things that you have not dealt with. All the things that I suppressed as a kid, and this is when the work
Yep.
began of just, oh, these things, these patterns, these habits, these beliefs that I have really need to be addressed, because you're not gonna, if you're thinking this right now, this moment that God saved your life and you wish that you were dead instead, that's something deep down that you need to address. So that was the moment where I was like, I need to, like you said, I need to rebuild and I need to reframe my entire thinking.
Wow. And this really does get at why it is important to process things in real time because they catch up with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't know when. And so because you had all that, you immediately you it wasn't even registering. You said what was happening as much as, oh, this is my life. Here we go again. And but clearly it did start to register. And you're like, I was finally getting somewhere.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, that feeling of like defeat or hopelessness and helplessness that are involved in that because these are things that literally happen to you. I'm curious to know if there was ever a shift where you recognized maybe that this was happening for you.
Absolutely. I love that, because when we think of, if you believe that God is the divine orchestrator of your life, then you have to believe, like you said, everything happens for a reason. And I think that's the determining factor on if somebody goes this way or they go that way, because you can put me and someone else in the same exact experience, same exact situation, circumstances, but if one of us chooses to believe this, we're going to find the lesson in it, right? We're going to say, okay, this is happening for a reason. If you don't believe that, then you're going to have a whole different experience, and you're going to go that way, right? And so for me, when we talk about polarity, right, there is no good without evil,
Mhm.
there is no up without down,
Mhm.
right? There's no joy without pain, no struggle without prosperity. That's when I chose to believe, okay, what is what is working within me to get to where I need to go? This happened too for me, like you said, and I don't even think I can get to where I want to get if I don't go through this. And that's when it's not for me to decide that. I can't say that 100%. But when you choose to
Mm.
believe that and say, it makes a little more sense for my life that where I'm going, I have to go through these things. When you lean into that and you say, no, absolutely, the struggle is what made me stronger. And I do have a purpose. And I cannot reach that without going the same way with simple analogies of when you're working out, you're literally tearing your muscle every time. Like, you're putting yourself through this pain in order to grow. If you look at everything in life that way,
That's good.
then you just say, okay, well, this is meant to be. And but when you don't, then you're just, that's when there's no purpose. You're wandering just aimlessly and be like, man, I have the worst luck. All this just keeps happening to me because you're not choosing to look like there is a greater purpose. There's a divine orchestration going on.
That's so good because yeah, I love what you said. Like two people, same event. One can go dark, one could go light.
Yeah.
And you've seen that sometimes with people when they experience a traumatic event and you see the shift in people sometimes and just trying to figure that out. And it seems like you've always been blessed with this healthy amount of questioning and
Yeah.
curiosity of things because where it's more curiosity than judging because a lot of people will judge and say that that's what it is and you go deeper and it seems like you learned to define things like you were given that ability. So for someone going through loss crisis or any major transition, starting over can feel very overwhelming, right? And so what does it actually take emotionally and mentally to begin that rebuilding?
Man, I do. It is all mindset, and
Mhm.
I'm cautious when I say that, because I don't mean in the sense of something bad or tragic is happening and you just change your mindset and say it's a good thing. It's not that at all. It's really, again, if you believe that you have a purpose and that there is more to this life, then each moment you have to assess it that way. And you have to say, okay, one, how is this preparing me for that moment? And this is also not the end all be all. A quote my pop says that I love is success is not final and failure is not fatal. Meaning both of them, there's more. Success, when you're successful, you're not done. It's not final. There's more to go, right? And then when you fail at something,
Mm-hmm.
it's not fatal. It's not the end of the world. Get up and do it again. So again, both sides of the spectrum, neither of them are the end all be all, good or bad. So when you're going through this hardship and you're understanding this is not the end of the road. This is happening for a reason. And again, only if you believe that there's a reason. If you don't, then I got nothing to tell you. I got nothing to say because you would have to, that's the
Mm-hmm.
only way to get out of it. You have to truly believe that there is a purpose and there's more to life than what I see right now. And so when you agree with that, and you're going through this hardship, you have no choice but to ask yourself, what is the lesson in this? And how is this preparing me to get there? And then the other side of that, which is a more practical thing, would be let's just say you don't have it in you to think about those things. It's really just like, how bad do I want this end result? Right? If you have a why, we talk about it all the time where it's like, this is what you do, but why do you do it? So if I say, this is what I want for my life, but why? If your why is strong enough, and again, that's purpose, and you want that bad enough that you're going to do whatever it takes. When something happens and there's an obstacle, there's a roadblock, if that why is strong enough, you're going to get through it. And it could take years, but that's going to be
Yep.
that driving force of just this right here is stronger than what's going on. Another quote my pop said, which I love, is obstacles are what you see when you take your eye off the goal. And so if
Yeah.
the
I've
goal
heard
is
that
here,
one.
you
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying? The goal is there. When you're doing what you're doing, you're like, I'm so focused on the goal. You only see the obstacle when you take your eye off the goal. And so again, these hardships that happen when you know where you're going and you have a purpose, that truly for me is the driving force of this roadblock is really just showing how much drive do I have at the end of the day.
Yeah, which I think is a good segue to then, like, so how did these like really shape the person you are today?
I think because that's the part where I wish I had an answer onto why I am so ambitious and so
It'll
determined.
come.
And that's when we get metaphysical and saying I have no choice. Like I picked up the phone and I answered the call and I said, this is what I'm going to do with my life. This is what I was chosen to do. And so God
Mhm.
always tests me every single day and just being like, remember this thing, this vision that I gave you as a child before you even understood it? Let's see how bad do you
Yeah.
want it. Let's see. And I'm going to continue to shape you through these experiences. And because of that, I truly believe that's the only reason I work so hard. And I'm so grateful for what I have because of what I had to go through to get it. And I know the opposite would be when it's just handed to you. And I think nothing has ever been handed to me. And I'm just so blessed also the people that God placed in my life, family and friends that have been such a
Mhm.
major support system to where I am today. And I think, again, that is because energy begets energy. And through these experiences, God is shaping me to be the type of person that is attracting these people to be like, we have the same mission. Let's do this together. And so, in simple terms, there's just no way that I would be where I am without all the struggle and all this that I went through because it just reinforced of like, you want more. You want yeah, like, I've always wanted more, and then this thing happens, and, like, I still want more. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and you were created for more. So what it sounds like is that you're like, "All right, God, I guess this is what we doing," right? Because the other part of it is, even if you stop because it hurts too much to keep going and you're tired from all the obstacles and the barriers, you don't stop wanting it just because you stop trying. That
Yeah.
vision doesn't just go away. So I think it is more painful to let it go and do nothing rather than pushing through and keep going.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. It took a lot to get here to Dr. J. Nicole did not have our beginnings have some similarities. I'll say
Mm.
that.
Yeah.
but also some differences. So, yep, I get it. I
Mm.
get it.
Yeah.
So, something else I hear in your work is a focus on internal work, and even already today, and this is that internal work that is required for transformation. And so touched on mindset, discipline, and even just some of those subconscious patterns that
Mhm.
influence how we move through life, right? So,
Yeah.
what does the inner work of becoming look like in your daily life?
Man, I'm such a strong believer in the law of hypnotic rhythm, and in simple
Okay,
terms,
now you got to define that. Yeah.
yeah. So the law of hypnotic rhythm, it's it's this idea that the thoughts, the patterns, the habits and beliefs that you practice every single day over a period of time, they become a rhythm and they start to control you and your experiences. And so an example, and that's both positive and negative, where if you are the type of
Right.
person that constantly complain or you're pessimistic or you procrastinate, the first moment that you started doing that, that habit of, let's just say, procrastinating, obviously it happened for a reason, but you're conscious of it. You're like, oh, I'll put that off, right? You do that today, then you do it next week. And then 3 weeks from now, a month from now, you are in this hypnotic rhythm of procrastination that you don't even think about it anymore. That next time you have something to do or a project to complete, you just procrastinate. You're on autopilot and your mind is like,
Yeah.
we're pushing this off, right? Same with being pessimistic or complaining. Something happened that you didn't like. You were conscious of like, I didn't like that, man. I really hate how this and this is really, and then you do that every day. You do that 3 weeks straight. Now a month. Now something happens. Your default mode is, I just complain about it. You know what I mean? And
Got it.
it's this rhythm. Boom, boom. Every time this thing happens, you do this to the point where 30 years in, you can't stop. The work that you have to do to reverse it, you have to now be conscious of this thing happened. Can I complain about
Mhm.
it or can I find a solution? That's when you have to break through that. But it's like it's too far right now. On the positive side, if you're the type of person that is disciplined, like the first day you decide, all right, I need to start going to the gym. It's this conscious decision. I don't want to go. You go, you do it. All right, that was cool. Day two, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym again. It's that conscious decision. 3 weeks in, now it's part of your routine. And you're like, okay, I go to work, I'm gonna go to the gym. 4 years in, that's part of your life. It's just this rhythm. I go to the gym and I'm disciplined, right?
Yeah.
And same with any type of mastering a skill or confidence, where it's just like, this is how this thought process that I have, this belief, I'm confident. I walk in the room. At first, it's difficult, and then you just do it over and over. So that law of hypnotic rhythm, it's hypnotic. It now controls you to where you put this into place. Now it says, oh, this is what we're on. We're on autopilot. You don't even got to do the work no more. And that's why some people seem very lucky and some people seem very unlucky. But it's like you set this habit a long time ago, right? And this is very nuanced because there's some things that are outside of our control. But that thought process of the subconscious mind, where you understand daily, and you know this more than anybody, you have to trick your subconscious mind. You have to tell it what to believe because it's gonna
Mhm.
believe since we were a kid, all these things that happened to me, and people were saying this, my subconscious mind was like, "Okay, well, this is what we are," and I didn't even have the opportunity to be like, hold up, do I agree with that? No, I don't." But over time, I agreed with it so much, it's like, "Okay, well, this is who I am." So today, that work that we were talking about, a lot of it had to go with reversing that and noticing a pattern and be like, hold on, let me stop it right there. That's a hypnotic rhythm that I found myself in. How do I change that? How do I reverse it? And then again, that's when the journaling comes in place and all these things you have to do to reverse it. And now your subconscious mind is like, okay, I'm this now.
Wow. Okay. That was deep. That's really deep, and I get it, cause I was like, "Wait a minute, what are we talking about here?" But
Hmm.
I got you, and other people might call it other things, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's good. Now you're gonna have me thinking about that more and looking at it more. But absolutely, that's how it goes with that saying, like, your thoughts become your actions become your behavior becomes like your character becomes your life, or something like that, right? Where
exactly.
all of these things build up, and you are absolutely right when how that shapes people's personalities, and
Yeah,
then it shapes their identity, and they say,
absolutely.
"This is just who I am," not how I am, who I am. And a lot of the times it's a how. It's really how you are because
Mm,
it's how you're living, it's how you're thinking, it's how.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we just switch the letters. But that's
Mm,
again, I really think in terms of identity, that's how, like from a spiritual perspective, right? Like that's how Satan gets us. It's an identity crisis. If he can get you to believe that you're anything other than a child of God and,
mhm.
you know, what the word says you are, he already got you then, right? And
Yep,
so
yep.
he turns the hows into who. And we make things like behaviors or habits. We say, that's who I am. No, because you can change the how. You can
Mhm.
also change the who. Like we're built to evolve.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on your specific practices? So I've heard you talk about journaling. Are there
Mhm.
other habits that help you with rebuilding your life, maintaining discipline and living your best
Yeah.
life?
No, absolutely. It did start with journaling, and then are you familiar with non-dominant handwriting therapy?
Yes. I'm not
Yeah.
like actively done it with people, but yeah. Tell us
No,
more
that
about it.
that definitely changed my life. I won't go too much into explaining it. I would want someone to do research on it, but as you know,
Yeah.
the brain has its two hemispheres, right? And this side
Mm,
controls one side and the other side controls the other side. So when you me being right-handed, anytime I do something with my left hand, it requires a different kind of strenuous intentionality and rewiring of the brain. And so what I was doing, I was writing affirmations and a lot of things with my left hand. And because this is something that I've never done before, my brain is taking this as new information. So if I'm don't feel confident and I'm writing certain things to build my confidence, my subconscious mind is saying, this is a new belief. In the same way, if I was 6 years old and a new belief came into me for the first time, it's going to take that as truth. So the power that I saw of rewiring my brain with my left hand and writing these things, because you have to be very impeccable with your word because it's difficult. So you're like, what do I want to enter into my brain tomorrow, and what do I choose to put out there? And so I was just writing these things, and that is truly, truly, truly the main thing that started this trajectory of who I am today.
that's so good. That
Yeah.
is so good. And I like how you were able to explain that in a simple way for anybody to get for something that is really technical.
Yeah.
But you're like tapping into neuroplasticity and the brain is a muscle
Literally that.
and being able to mhm. So I was like, okay, okay.
And
I
I'll,
can
I'll
see
give
that now
you
you about to have me over here writing with my left hand.
I'll tell you, do it, and I'll give you an example where I zoomed in and zoomed out, all these different things about myself. One of the things, and this is a practical example that I saw in real time, because some of these things are years of undoing that it takes time. But one of them
Yep.
was I wanted to stop saying like and when I was talking. And that's a lot of us, right? And
Yeah.
I'd love to watch this back and see how many times I said like or but I remember
I'll
it
probably
was
cut those out.
but it was really bad, and you know more than anybody why we do that, but I wanted to cut that out, so I would write certain things along the lines of, "I will not say like or during conversation. I will slow down. Anything that I say, I am confident what I like." All these type of things that I was saying, and I would write them over and over to eradicate saying like, and as I was going through it day by day, I remember any time that I would say like, my brain would scream at me, and it would say, we said we weren't going to do this anymore. And that's when I saw it happening in real time, where it was such an issue in my life. And then now I entered this new thought, and then it said, we don't do that no more. And then that's when I knew it worked.
Yeah. Okay, this is good. Were there beliefs about yourself that you had to unlearn along the way?
Absolutely. I think as we're seeing the theme, the main thing that has taken me so long, and to this day I'm still working on, and I finally overcame within the last couple months, was the belief that I don't deserve good things. And
Come on.
when we talk about the subconscious mind, I never said that growing up. I didn't think, "Oh, I don't deserve good things." It's just you just see how your life is, and you see, "Okay, well, I don't have the Nikes. We can't afford the Nikes. I asked for the Nikes. We can't have them. Therefore, I don't deserve them." All right, want and then let's zoom in closer. I want the cinnamon toast crunch cereal. I want the name brand. asking for it. No, you got to get the cinnamon toasters, the marshmallow mateys. You got to get the knockoff shit. And it's just like the brain is okay. Whatever those great things, the things that all my friends have, all these things that I see, those are for other people. They're not for me. And that pattern begins to now show itself as I'm growing up. Now in the relationships that I'm choosing, I'm now finding myself stuck in a relationship of somebody that maybe treats me like or does not reciprocate what I'm looking for. But in my brain is, you get what you get. Stay with this. This is who you chose and you're stuck with it and you don't deserve any better. And
Mm.
not until in my first car, you know what I mean? I got the beat up, like, oh, it's just that thing of bare minimum, get what you can, get in where you fit in, get in where you live, get it how you live, and just, be grateful that you can have that, which is how we had to live, which is cool. I wouldn't change anything, but it is that fine line of when you are capable of broadening your capacity to have more, do you even believe that you are worthy and deserving of that thing? And it took me a long time to just say, actually, like you said, we're created for more. I actually do want more. I am deserving of more, and I'm gonna go get more. There was a long time where I did not believe that, and a beautiful analogy that I love is if you take a grasshopper, you capture it, and you put a cup over it, you put a glass cup, it's gonna jump, boom. It's gonna keep trying to get out. It's gonna do this for some minutes, maybe hours, maybe days. Then there's a moment where it just gives up and it says, I'm not going to make it out of this because all the times that I've tried, I'm not getting out of here and it stays there. You can remove the cup, remove the glass, and it's going to stay there. And it's not going to jump. It's not going to continue because it already accepted its reality and said, this is who I am. This is where I am. I can't make it out of here. And even though that struggle, whatever was removed mentally, is still there. And so for me, it was that thing of finally breaking out of, oh, I'm looking around and I'm not 5 years old sleeping in the car. I can actually have more. And that's where I am today.
Yep, that's so good because what you're talking about is how survival and the lived experiences, because no one probably really said to you, no one said you don't deserve good things, you're not worthy. No one said that. This
Exactly.
is what you like deduced, took from your experiences, and that survival shaped core beliefs. And is really not sometimes until people go to therapy or they spend a lot of time alone and
Hmm.
they start to be curious with themselves and reflect and really just say, well, why? How? And that's how they can start that journey of answering the question. So that's where core beliefs are tricky. And the
Yeah.
fact that you were able to label that and to say, and I get where this came from. And I also understand why I had those experiences.
Hmm.
I'm an adult now. I'm the architect of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can have more. 'Cause you're absolutely right. All of these things, like something that I notice when I see people who just their appearance, I was like, that was a choice to look
Mm,
bad. Like when some people just have like really just poor, and this might sound funny, but just like, okay, ODB, you know who ODB was,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From Wu Tang. The way he will wear his hair, the just different things he would do, like the way he would present himself, he's showing you what his internal world looks like.
Hmm.
He's showing you what he thinks and believes about himself. So, like you're saying, from the relationships you were in to the cars that you drove, all of these things are reflections of choices of the person's internal world. We think we have to say things to communicate. We do not.
Mm,
Everything we do, everything we choose is communicating something about our internal worlds. And when we don't, and people always tell me, you thinking too deep. No, you're not thinking enough. Like, because there's a lot to what you're saying.
yeah. Absolutely. And
There's
I
a
do.
lot to it. And so,
And I was just gonna say as well. And it's funny, I did all that on my own, and then there was a moment where I'm like, "Okay, I think I do need therapy now." Because now I kinda reached a threshold where I said, "I need to now bounce these thoughts off of a professional," because I noticed it's like I can only do so much on my own, and that's also what has truly got me to where I am today. Not only talk therapy, but then biomagnetic therapy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but there's this amazing woman, Dr. Karen, who she's a family friend. She does biomagnetic therapy, and she recoded my entire system. And it was a very, very spiritual experience. And so at the same time doing that, I'm telling you, when it comes to like, oh, these thoughts, she boom, gone, 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 gone. And it was like I was a brand new person when I stepped out of that session. But then talking about it through therapy and practicing it in real life is really where I'm at today.
Now, tell me, get for listeners, like, because of course you want people to go research for themselves, but just like a high level overview of what biomagnetic therapy is.
It's so metaphysical that I don't have the words for it, but just think of quantum physics, right? Where your physical body and your emotions and your spiritual essence all connect. We know that we're not just physical, we're spiritual, we're emotional, we're mental beings. And so biomagnetic therapy has to do with your electromagnetic field. So when for
Mhm.
example, when you're laying on this table and she has these magnets on you, she's able to see what parts of your body are like are there parts that will light up where it's like we need to address this. We need to put some healing in this area. So whether it be a thyroid condition or whether it be a broken foot, she's able to see that. Now for me, a lot of my ailments were mental. So as you know as well, a lot of people when you are going through it emotionally, your body is going to react. And so a lot like, for example,
Uh-huh.
these autoimmune diseases are caused there's all these things that happen that now your physical being is affected by it. And so with biomagnetic therapy having to do with your electromagnetic field and her being able to see, okay, this part of your body is affected because of this part of your mind or this part of this wound that happened, and she's able to address that. And so for me, I went in intentionally and said, well, these are the things that I really I want to address. And she was telling me things that I never told her. She was like, oh, I'm seeing, when you're 14, I'm seeing abandonment, I'm seeing all these things. And that's when it became, spiritual. There's a whole nother direction that we went in, and I wouldn't say that is what biomagnetic therapy is, but because of who she is, that's where the direction it went. But in simple terms, I truly, 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 truly recommend biomagnetic therapy for everyone because it's a natural, holistic approach on healing yourself from a more comprehensive state. Because again, if you have a broken leg or whatever and you're just treating it physically, but biomagnetic therapy being quantum physics, it deals with all the layers of who you are as a being.
Intriguing. And it makes me kind of think of like, obviously it's a different approach, but even with acupuncture
Mhm, mhm.
and how everything is connected. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll definitely look into that. My curiosity is definitely piqued. And yeah, there's so many ways for healing. And it just made me also think about just like, cause yeah, we all have a frequency.
yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah,
energy we
yeah.
give off, you feel people before you know they're there. And just even how people connect and who you like you vibes. Everyone's calling it vibes now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
it sounds like that's part of it. Yeah. Okay. So you share the idea that prosperity is cultivated rather than simply given. What does that idea mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the word cultivation because when I think of prosperity and everything that I am aiming to accomplish, I see it as cultivated. It's not given to you because I could give you $1 million right now. That does not mean you're prosperous. You just have $1 million, right? I could give you a car, I could give you a home, but prosperity it's a state of being, it's a condition. The same way again, polarity, struggle is a condition. Prosperity is the other side of that
Hmm.
spectrum where the same saying that we all know, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So prosperity is not given to you. It's something that you have over time worked to become. So what I like to say is planted deep within every struggle is a seed of prosperity, and you have to water that seed. So in this struggle, this tiny little opportunity of equal value to the struggle, right? It could be a small struggle and you could lead to a small version of prosperity. It could be a major struggle, lead to a major version of prosperity. But you have to find the seed and then you have to water it. You have to put in that work, because if you earn $1 million and you do what is required of that, then that means you can do it again if that's taken away from you. But if I gave you $1 million, do you have what it takes? Do you have the wherewithal to make $1 million? No, you were given that. So prosperity is something that you had to literally go and find your way, because prosperity looks different for you than it looks for me. It's not about money. It's more about freedom. It's about who you become at the end of the day. And you're saying, well, I am now the type of person that I can become a doctor, or I can become an artist, or I can just have a family and live where I want to live and have some horses, and like that's prosperity. I grow my own fruit and grow my own vegetables. That's prosperity. That is you making the decision of, this is the life that I want to live, and I have put in the effort and the energy to acquire that, rather than it was given to me. Because again, if it's given to you, it could be taken away.
That's good. That is good. And it just makes me think of a conversation I was having with my brother today. I was almost saying like those same things. It was just like, once you can do it, you can do it again. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing you
yeah,
can't do. And once you break through that and get into that mindset, some people call it abundance. It's so freeing.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
so freeing, and a lot of people, they stop because, "Oh, that's hard," or "That's gonna be a lot," and the number of people who allow someone else saying that something's gonna be hard or it's going to be a lot, that stop their thing or whatever that thing was they give it up, they release it,
Hmm.
they let it go. It's staggering if we were really to survey that. Just because it's hard, that doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah.
And then you have to pay attention to who it's coming from. What are they
Mm,
doing with their life? Is this a person who's threatened by you? Is this someone who doesn't want to see you surpass them? Is
mm-hmm.
this somebody like who are these people?
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to be careful about who you're around and who you listen to. So what is hard? You have the capacity. And then what are you doing with your time otherwise? So why not do that thing that is going to take you to the next level? Break that ceiling where you are and keep going. Like
Mhm,
we are so powerful as human beings and we don't tap in. Comfort is such the like antagonist
mhm.
to our greatness.
Yeah,
To put
yeah.
it simply, like comfort, you have to come out of comfort. And that doesn't mean you won't have any. You get some along the way with the things because when you break through, everything starts to match and the comforts are there and more than that. And then you about time to get on my soapbox here. When people, well, I don't want you to get your hopes up. Oh, I
Mm,
thought you should know. So you'd rather I have no hope or low
mm,
hope?
mm.
You'd rather that I doubt or think that I can't than to try and find out if I can?
Yep, yep, yep. Nah, I'll tell you the quote that I live by, and my pops always said, is your desire to succeed must be greater than your fear of failure. And it's that simple, where again,
Come on.
your desire to succeed must be greater than your fear of failure. They're the same thing. That fear and desire carry the same energy. And which one are you going to focus on? Which one are you going to
Come
put
on.
that into?
Come
And
on.
like you're saying, this thing that we're aiming for, this thing, you could either fail or you could succeed. Find out quicker, right? Like you're only gonna know, the onlyest way to find out is to find out. So what's gonna push you is your desire to succeed greater to go push that, or is your fear of failure greater to make you not do it?
Yep. All right, beautiful people. If this episode has already blessed you in any sort of way, we ask that you like, subscribe, follow, share, and leave comments. Feedback helps this message reach the people who need it most. And if you're listening and thinking, I'm ready to go deeper in my healing journey, we invite you to join our school community where we continue these conversations between episodes. And it's an opportunity to connect with like-minded individuals committed to growth, healing, and purpose. Also, do not forget, you can shop the merch and also explore all things Evolve at evolve.drjnicole.com. If you love today's look and you're wondering about this hair, you can use my promo code with the link in the description to get 15% off with Eunice hair. That's UNICE. Thank you for rising with us. All right, audience. Well, this is where we shift to you. I want you to take a moment to reflect. What parts of Thomas's story resonated with you the most? Was it the search for identity, the resilience through struggle, or the journey of rebuilding and becoming? Take a moment and consider whether those themes might show up in your own life. And then I want you to take action. Transformation often begins with small decisions. This week, consider one step you can take towards becoming the person you know you're meant to be. Whether that means embracing your identity, healing from something that hurt you, or choosing growth even when it's uncomfortable. And of course, your affirmation for today. This time, I want you to repeat this with me. Even in my darkest moments, there is a seed of purpose within me. I am growing, I am becoming, and my story is still unfolding. And if this conversation resonated with you, here's how you can stay connected with the Rise and Thrive community. First, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We want to make sure you don't miss out on any future conversations like this one today, where we're exploring faith, healing, identity, and personal transformation. And then I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know what parts of Thomas's story resonated with you the most. We want to hear from you. Your reflections help to build a community that makes these conversations meaningful. And if you want to carry the message of this show into your everyday life, you can also explore the Rise and Thrive collection designed to remind you to walk boldly in your purpose. You can find them at www.evolve.drjnicole.com. And finally, if this episode has blessed you, we invite you to share it with someone who might need some encouragement today, because sometimes the right conversations at the right moment can remind someone that their story isn't over. It's still unfolding. And Thomas, thank you so much. I appreciate you allowing us to experience your depth. Thank you all for being part of the Rise and Thrive community. And until next time, keep rising in faith and keep thriving in purpose.